Hello, all you animation fans, and welcome to another episode of Talking 2D. I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'm here once again with my fabulous co-host,
The man with the iron giblets.
where we talk about all things animation that we particularly love. And what we particularly love is One Piece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we like One Piece a lot.
Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. Alright.
And we got a new chapter and a new episode this week, so we're gonna start with the chapter.
Yes.
So I want to start off with Yamato's reveal, because that was the first thing they wanted to lead off with.
It's just like, I heard you guys talking shit for 2 weeks. Here you go. Here's what it is. Shut the fuck up.
Dog fruit model Makami.
Well, Okochi no Makami.
That.
Yeah, regular Makami is something a little bit different, but do you know some of the lore behind the Okochi no Makami?
I read into it, but I don't actually remember it.
Well, the general lore behind it is back during the older times of Japanese history in a place known as the Yamato province of Japan. There were these wolves that would come down from the mountain and take out various different herbivores that would eat crops and such. So a lot of people grew to worship a lot of wolves as deities, and there are a lot of legends of wolves helping out the populace in various different ways. One tale about a Makami helping out this one guy along with his journey as a person named Yamato, I believe it was, and a wolf constantly helping this person out as he was being set upon these trials, very much like Hercules and all that. So the fact that nobody ever connected those dots, between Yamato and mythical wolf is kind of weird, but at the same time, the legend is so old because after a lot of those herbivores went back into the mountains to escape from the wolves ended up leaving as well, and people's worship of the wolves kind of died off too. So it's one of the lesser known deities of Japanese mythology and all that good stuff.
Lesser known, more like because it's fading into obscurity from the sounds of it.
Basically.
What matters is that we now know what Yamato and Kaido's devil fruits are. Kaido is a big, mean dragonfish man, and Yamato is a very, very good boy.
Yeah, a very good ice boy.
Very good tits. Yes, a very, very good ice boy with very, very good ice tits.
Although I am interested in what exactly it is about this devil fruit that made Kaido want it so badly. It's one thing that it's the guardian deity of Wano, which don't really mean much to me because Pell was classified as the guardian deity of Alabasta, and I mean, he cheated death and that was about it. So, and I mean, not to put down Yamato, but I do not see him beating Kaido in this fight.
He's not supposed to beat Kaido in this fight. We all know it at this point.
Exactly. So
when they did that whole blast breath, and you had that yin yang thing that more or less just kind of showcased, okay, they are equally matched. This is a stalemate, more or less.
More or less. Although during a few of these clashes, Kaido is pushing Yamato back something fierce, so I'm not betting on Yamato.
No, Kaido's got the upper hand, but Yamato can match him in a good amount of areas.
Yes.
Just not. It's not enough.
Yeah,
it's just not enough.
So it's good enough to stall until Luffy gets back, basically, which is what we needed in this situation.
And Luffy is coming back. We've finally discovered he is taking Momonosuke up. Which,
after he gets some meat,
he ate all the meat on the Heart Pirates ship. There is no more.
And yet he's still demanding more meat.
It's like, we have no more. That's it, bro. We can find some, but I don't know how long it's gonna take.
Yeah, right. That's essentially what was said here. But Momo's got to conquer his fear of heights, and the whole animosity into turning into a dragon and all that, and get Luffy the fuck back up there so he can punch a dragon fish god in the face.
He also has to learn how to consciously do that cloud walkie thingy that he
Yeah.
was doing.
I mean, this would be the time to do it.
God, it's really true what he said in Enter the Spider-Verse. Nothing. Oh, what was it? Nothing like intense, life-threatening pressure. No better teacher than intense, life-threatening pressure. That was the saying.
That's it.
God, I got there. It just took a minute.
For a second, I thought you were gonna be like, it's a leap of faith, and I'm just like, oh, that's actually pretty sweet.
That too, but like I said, nothing brings out the best in you like intense, life-threatening pressure. And I've probably said that exact phrase 5 times now in multiple variations, but I don't give a shit. That's the point.
I drive that point home.
So we cover the beginning of the chapter with some important information dropping. We cover the end of the chapter, which is just like, hey, y'all waiting for the main story. Don't worry, we're getting there. But the main event of this chapter is the event we've all been waiting for, and that is the fight between Robin and Black fucking Maria. Giant woman!
All I wanna do is see you turn into a giant woman, a giant woman.
All I want is for that giant woman to just stick me right between her titties like Wonder Woman did with the Atom. I want to live between Black Maria's cleavage, okay?
Best seat in the house.
Exactly!
But I'm still wondering, how Black Maria has illusion powers or something?
Her mythical zone is a mythical spider, so...
there are spiders that can cause hallucinations, but it felt really random to just pop in and see like freaking Clover. How do you pronounce her name? Because people keep saying it's not Olivia. Olvia, there we go. And Saul, which it was kind of surreal to see them all again, because it's just like, oh, that's a weird blast from the past. It's been like 10 years.
What bothers me about this is that it's not outright explained exactly what happened. All we know for sure is that somehow a few of Black Maria's subordinates managed to take the shape of Robin's mother and the figures that she most connected to. And bruh, I'm still not sure whether or not Robin was acting in that moment. It's just like part of me is just like, oh, maybe she just wanted to let herself have that moment of closure because she knew this was bullshit, but it's just like, oh, it's so nice to see you all again after all these years.
Yeah.
It's too bad you're all bullshit. Fuck you. Either that or she just played into that act like, oh no, you fooled me, mommy, my favorite people. Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Don't come at me with this bullshit. It's really hard to tell. Robin has been... she had to be a pretty good actress in the past just because of the nature of a lot of the running she had to do in the past, so it could go either way, honestly.
It's kind of hard to tell which of the two scenarios is funnier.
Yeah. Ooh, also, we got to see yet another of the numbers, and this time it was a chick. That's Kunyun. So, number 9. So, we've seen numbers 4 through 10 of the numbers, but we haven't seen 1, 2, and 3.
You think there'll be any more of a threat than the rest of the numbers have been? Because from what I understand, they have not. What have numbers actually been doing during this raid other than getting the shit smacked out of them?
Just being big. Which, considering they were thought of as mostly failures for the most part, it's just kind of like,
well, now I see why.
They're par for the course. Look, most times when you have a giant person under your command, you don't really need more than that in most situations, but against people who have taken on their fair share of giant people, it's not looking too good for the numbers.
No, not even a little bit. It's like this raid has been it's been pretty easy for the Straw Hats, don't you think?
Yeah, for the most part, up until now. Aside from the whole encounter with Kaido and Big Mom, it's been very unimpressive.
Yeah, I mean, like, Jinbei made pretty short work of who's who from the looks of it. Frankie, I mean, the general was definitely pushed to its absolute limit, but Frankie's still pretty good. Sasaki's out. Ulti, I'll give her this. She was the most stubborn member of the Tobiropo to take down. You covered it a couple weeks ago. She took a ton of massive hits before she finally succumbed. Fuck's
That's a
sake.
lot of damage.
Yeah. Ulti, surprisingly enough, was the damage sponge of the whole group. Whereas everybody else, they were just outclassed.
I mean, see, it's hard to say because given the fact that it's felt like a lot of these fights have been way too short, like a lot shorter than what Oda usually does. And the fact that the one chapter that is named, Robin versus Black Maria is not even done yet. Because by the time we get to the end of it, they're still kind of engaged in combat. So it's my hope that the intense tenacity we've seen from, Ulti and Page 1 beforehand is still kind of gonna roll over into other chapters. So as we go along, Page 1 will get back up. Ulti ain't getting back up. I'm pretty sure her insides are jelly. But Sasaki will get back up, Who's Who will get back up, and we might have some fights resume for a little while. There's no guarantee on that, but I'm kind of hoping because it's just like, it feels like just one more chapter to take each of these guys on would make it feel a little bit more worthwhile.
It's really hard to say because, like, I agree with you completely, but when you consider that there's still a lot that needs to go on, and Oda might just kind of be speeding through a lot of this stuff just so he can get to the point, probably at the behest of his editor. For all we know, you could be right. He may actually be setting a lot of second round matches to be waged, but for now it's kind of hard to tell. It really just seems like Kaido has surrounded himself with don't get me wrong, it's not that the members of his crew are not strong, it's just that the Straw Hats appear to be vastly stronger than them.
Like, uncomfortably more capable than you'd expect them to be in this situation.
Especially against their top ranking members. It's starting to feel like there's a massive gap in power between Kaido and his subordinates, not just numbers wise, but in terms of like actual strength. Kaido seems way too overpowered to be leading the Beast Pirates.
Yeah, all things considered. I mean, ultimately, a lot of these people were defeated by Kaido and then, sucked into his ranks, so it kind of makes a bit of sense. But it kind of feels like they weren't worth the effort in a lot of situations if this is all they're really bringing to the table.
Realistically, the three characters that are going to have to bring it the absolute most in the coming chapters are going to have to be King, Queen, and Jack, because, like, to me, it partly makes sense that the members of the Tobiropo would go down pretty easily to, one or two members, like, easily. Just saying, there are a few characters that we know for a fact would come out on top, no question. I mean, I do feel like Jinbei outclasses Who's Who in a lot of ways. I mean, we see that in the chapter. So the Beast Pirates are starting to look like really, really incompetent, all things considered. Something kind of made their leadership crumble from within.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, we know that at the very least, the fights with Sasaki, Who's Who, and Black Maria, they were going on behind the scenes for a hot minute. It's just that the final takedown it came up a little too quickly for most people's taste. And if I can't imagine Oda, this is all that he's given us when, he's crafted these situations so well before in terms of Eno's Lobby, Alabasta, Arlong Park. Like, these scenarios have played out in the past, and they've been played so well that I'm just like, I have faith that he's going to pull through in the end, and he's, reasonably justified that faith in him. It's just that the whole setup of Wano has been very weird once we got to Onigashima. Like, things just didn't add out the way that they used to. If you get,
And you have to consider he's more or less doing what he normally does, but on a much larger scale. Like, despite the fact that Alabasta was a rebellion of about 1 million people, and Onigashima is like several thousand, it's still more difficult because by comparison to Alabasta, the Straw Hats are operating even sort of on the outskirts / behind the scenes of the war that's going on. In this case, they are like dead center right in the middle of it. So you're getting intimate in the middle of all these different moving parts of this war, because I mean, this raid is more or less just a war between the people of Wano and Kaido's entire crew. So it's a little tougher, I think, to properly convey the right mood and juggle all these different things going on at once.
and see, I would agree with you on that note. I get it. But at the same time, I also think back to the whole Paramount War at Marineford and all that, and so much was going on there, and yet it never felt, as off as this did. And I read that from start to finish. It didn't feel as, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, there was something lacking somewhere. Like, we haven't hit that big oomph moment with a lot of the other characters, aside from when we had what people have dubbed as roof piece going on.
I get the feeling that when the anime gets to this part, it's going to have like a lot more room to play with things and expand on them. And when it comes to like all these individual characters' fights, that's probably when they're going to shine through the most. If nothing else, we should probably look forward to a lot of characters getting their second wind.
Yeah, maybe. It's going to be weird to say this, but I'm looking forward to Onigashima coming to an end. If only because at that point, we'll be able to just get past any notions of doubt, or just have a lot of shit just confirmed, and just be able to be like, okay, was this good setup? Was this bad setup? Do we have to be worried about the direction that Oda's going to take things in the future? Because if he can't make this situation work, that raises some very bad flags for the end of the series. Like, this is something he's been building up to for damn near 10 years. Like, around 2012, he kind of got this ball rolling. And if he can't make this work, that is a very bad sign. That's why I don't want to buy into this is all there is to it.
Right now, I always come to this conclusion every week because there's really not much else we can do as fans, but it's just like we kind of have to just wait and see where things go, because like we can speculate all day until the cows come home, but like the only one who really knows what's ultimately going to go down is Oda himself, and he's not going to say shit. It's just like, if I say shit, y'all won't read, so no.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. Although, the one thing I will say about this chapter specifically is I enjoyed the fact that it was 2-on-1 for the most part. Like, I get that a lot of people want these one-on-one fights. That's all well and good. But at the same time, we also know that the main heavy hitters of the Straw Hats are Luffy, Sanji, Zoro, and Jinbei. To have those who aren't in that top bracket team up against a opponent that's supposed to be fairly formidable, I like that. I enjoy that. Honestly, that's been something that I've wanted to see in this series for a hot minute, team ups. That's why I was happy to see Nami and Usopp team up, because I thought they would get the job done a little bit better. They unfortunately really didn't for the most part, but it was a nice direction to go in. And
Well, that can be attributed to the two of them having the most fatal of flaws in all of One Piece. They are but mere mortal people.
yeah,
They don't have monster strength.
which is fine, because Robin and Brooke don't have monster strength. It's just that they have some really awesome abilities, like the ability to apparently use your soul to pass through something and freeze it solid. The fuck was that, Brooke? Since when could you do that?
Just like, I had a thought and I'm going to try this. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, well, at least I still have a cane sword. I loved that we got a showcase of Brooks' ridiculous, crazy ass abilities that he can do with his fucking soul. He's got a fucking broken ass power, and I love it. I love everything about it.
It's one of those things where I think about it's just like, look, the best way of crafting amazing character growth for any character is to think of a character, now give them a broken ass ability, and then walk your way back from that and make it as weak as possible. And then just decide how much of an increase towards that final version you want to get them. And with what we've been seeing from Brooke and Robin in this chapter, we're getting pretty close to that ultimate broken version. Cause man, Robin, have you watched Hunter x Hunter?
No.
Damn.
But I do get the feeling that her giant nude woman form with multiple arms is supposed to be a reference to like some sort of Buddhist symbolism.
Yeah, one of the the best fight in all of Hunter x Hunter is between essentially Cell versus a man who has there's no way around it, a stand that is referred to as the 100 type Guanyin Bodhisattva, which is essentially, well, you've watched Naruto, right? To the end, right?
I know what a bodhisattva is. It's a Buddha that achieves enlightenment, but still exists on two planes to try and help other people get to that point.
Well, I
So
mean,
probably not relevant.
for the most part. But even in Naruto, it was Hashirama who had that giant Buddhist deity statue that came out and had all these hands. It was just beating the shit out of the Kyuubi. And essentially that's what people are predicting. It's just like, Robin can sprout many hands, and there is now a giant naked Robin behind her. It's about to get slap happy up in this bitch.
Yeah, that's kind of the direction I saw that going, and it's just like, oh, giant naked Robin. Oh, she about to smack a bitch. About to smack the fuck out of a bitch. And she's about to do it with her tits out, just to be like, my titties are better than yours. Deal with it, bitch.
Although, we have seen that Robin can produce clothing on her clones, so don't get your hopes up.
You're right, but look, right now that first panel showed a very, very topless Robin. Lots of skin.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of skin.
Well, remember, when Black Maria first took off her kimono, her tits were just all out in the open. And this chapter, she has wrappings around her titties, which I'm just like, well, that made this fight exponentially less interesting, but carry on.
Well, she had to show off her sweet ass back tattoo.
I always think of that moment. It's just like, and her back says, "Woman trouble." I don't know how to feel about that.
I know exactly how to feel about that. It makes me upset, but I still want to hit it. So that's a problem for me.
All right. Anything else about this chapter?
Not really. Nothing particularly sprung out. I'm glad to have a chapter back after another 2-week hiatus. I really hope we see the end of Wano before 2021 ends.
Well, That hiatus is because Olympics and bullshit, so can't really help that one.
Okay, that's fair, but I still stand by my statement. I really hope Wano ends before 2021 does. It's August, my dude. We are in the second half of the year.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if Oda were to consecutively release chapters up until the end of this year, we would have 21 chapters. Yeah, that ain't happening, my dude. Look forward to it in the middle of next year.
Awesome. This is where we get to that part where the action, like, you're getting those weekly updates. It doesn't hit as well as you want it to, but I'm telling you, man, when you come back and you binge this shit, that shit's gonna hit perfect. Perfect, perfect.
Oh no, believe me, I went back and like reread through Whole Cake Island just for the fuck of it. And everything about that just hit completely different.
Yeah, because you weren't getting fucking weekly updates on that shit. Fucking listen. Whole Cake Island was a good arc. It was, but man, when you take that shit at a weekly pace, you start to get fatigued.
Yeah. I honestly I laughed a lot more during that arc than I remember. There were so many gags in that I'm just like, I'm dying laughing from this shit. I'm just like, I forgot all about that. So it's just like when you're in a just mindset of just reading this shit because you can, it really does wonders.